Well, my name is Amanda DiVito Parle, and you're here at the kitchen table, my podcast where we inspire, guide, and connect entrepreneurs or whoever likes to come and sit in the chair. And today is my longtime friend, Meredith Anderson, and she is running a company now called Journey Back to Joy. She is a recovering realtor. Is that true?
I like the way you put that, yes.
So what is Journey Back to Joy? And maybe back up and tell us how you came to this place.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome.
I really appreciate it.
Glad you're here.
And that you're doing this work. This is great.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yes, recovering realtor is a really good way to put it. I have been a very successful realtor for over a decade, just serving, religiously my clients, the industry, giving back, engaging, and investing, all these aspects, right, that I absolutely love and respect. I think it's one of the best. People ask me, like, if you could do it again, what would you do? And I was like, become a realtor sooner. Because it is such an incredible industry and it has so much to offer, and it's an incredible pathway to wealth.
Yeah.
And what I learned through my 10 years of doing it extremely actively is that I needed to find what boundaries I needed in my own life. I needed to define who I was and what I was bringing to the role, and to be able to actually successfully maintain a sense of self in that mix. So I stepped away kind of at the absolute height. I had my most expensive closing ever. And that was my, for clients anyway, we'll put it that way. And I said, okay, and now I'm taking a break. I'm still licensed and I still keep that up, of course, because I still do a lot of investing and I continue on that wealth creation path. And I birthed something called the Journey Back to Joy. So I could kind of discover and share what it means to really embody your own authentic self. So that's what I've been doing.
One of the things I found interesting about your real estate business when we knew, because we've known each other, probably the bulk of the last 10 years that you've been in the business, we worked at the same company, was that you scaled your real estate company quickly.
Yes.
So I believe in your ability to scale companies quickly.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. But I think you were on the cutting edge of having a boutique office with a large brand. You had bought your own building. Mm-hmm. You had built a team there. You were on the sort of forward edge of, really bringing people around you to leverage the business quickly. Mm-hmm. And so where are you from? Where did you grow up, and how did you end up in real estate?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, it's been quite the journey. So I'm from the Dallas area, Texas. My husband and I met there and then dated long distance because we met 1 week before I decided to move to the Denver area.
Oh, of course, naturally.
Yeah. So we dated long distance, ended up kind of getting married and actually moving to live on a sailboat in the Sea of Cortez, Mexico. Okay. For our first year of marriage.
You lived on the sailboat the whole year?
We did break it up. We came back and bought our first property in Arvada in between when it got too hot to be in the Sea of Cortez, Mexico. And then we went back down. So it was kind of more like 6 months broken up in between. And while we were down there, kind of rediscovering ourselves and who we were going to be as a couple, as a family. And my husband had his folks, he said, bring down any property investment book you can find, because he had heard the quote so many times, more millionaires are made in real estate than any other industry.
Sure.
So they brought down Flipping Houses for Dummies.
Okay.
And he read that book cover to cover. He absorbed everything in it. And he said, this is what we're going to do when we get back to the States.
Okay.
So, okay. And I have been, historically like just the nerd, right? Like the investigator, the careful studier, that type. I mean, even when he would work on the Perkins diesel engine that was in our sailboat, I was like reading the manual and telling him what to do and how not to break it. I can
just see this now.
Yes.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So anyway, so when we got back, I said, okay, I'm okay with being real estate investors, but I got to understand it thoroughly. And that's what sent me into getting my real estate license and why I did that. It's not a family business. It's not something, my family is not very entrepreneurial at all. So it was really way out on the limb. And we heard all the, horror stories of how flipping goes wrong.
So that's what you originally started, was flipping houses.
We did. Yeah. We flipped houses steadily, full time, for about 4 years.
What years were those?
Would have been, when did I get licensed?
Like
11.
I was going to say, 11, 12, 13.
11, 12, yep. Mm-hmm. And
those were good years. Those were
was great.
blooming years of a seller favorable market.
Yes, it was fantastic. So yeah, we're flipping into an upmarket, right? We were studying, we were going to auctions, we were, just. Oh wait. So it might have been more like 13, 14, 15. It was those years.
You got your timeline mixed up.
Yeah.
But the point that was bothering you, I could see, it was like you were really racking your brain about the win. So like 14, you were flipping houses and the market was good then.
It was really good. I think the bottom was 11. That's what I was confusing. So we were flipping into the up.
Yeah, that's right.
And it went great. And
then at what point did you move into like the residential space?
Yeah, so whenever that's why I got my license. I remember I did like a timeline. I said, okay, our very first flip, I will be the listing agent on it. And I worked the dates backwards to get my license to be that listing agent.
Yeah, you were like, I got to get this done.
Yeah. And so then, it kind of happened naturally, right? Like just, you're in the industry, you're finding properties, I was working at another small boutique firm, and it was like their overflow of clients would come to me, that sort of thing. Oh, can you do this showing now that you're licensed? So it really happened organically that I started working in the residential space to serve clients. And of course it's lovely. It's so rewarding. It's high energy work, so I just kept doing both.
And then, so do you have maybe a crossroads where it broke you?
Working for residential. I would say yes and no. It was a series of breaking down, right? So I got pregnant with my first daughters and was like, okay, how do I work 24/7 and become a mom? Mm-hmm. So that's when I started to replace myself, build a team, try to have areas where I could so I built up a team we were 5 people, and I found myself still working pretty much just as much, but more in the people management space.
Yeah.
And
I often say whenever you run a team, I say I run a business all day and I sell real estate all night and all weekend.
Yes, exactly. So 100%.
So that didn't cause much relief.
With a newborn,
that's
on top of it. So no, not a whole lot of relief found there. And absolutely love my team. They're wonderful human beings. And that is when I also started, somewhere right in there when I had the team, I started coaching other women realtors.
Yeah.
Because I really found just so much gratitude and the giving back and like the restoring who they are, and being able to coach them and then, other realtors in my company. But so then I had a second baby, of course, because that's what you do when you're completely overrun.
When you're drowned. Did you ever see that Jim Gaffigan skit? Do you know who Jim Gaffigan is?
I do.
He's the comedian, and he tells this, he has 4 children.
Yeah.
I think they live in New York or something. And he always says, do you know what it's like to have 3 babies or something? And then he says, if you're drowning in the ocean, having 4 babies is like somebody hands you a baby while you're drowning or whatever. And I'm misquoting the skit, but it's something like that. It's very hilarious. But it's that, right? Like your real estate is a baby.
Yeah.
You have a husband at home. Now you have a toddler and another baby coming. It's like, how to sufficiently drown yourself? Have another baby.
Have another baby.
Yeah. Yep. So you sufficiently drown yourself.
Did that. I added on to my house as well at that same time. It was like, okay. And so after baby number 1, I really got right back to the grind, right? She's a few months old. Okay, I'm back in.
Yep.
Baby number 2, I found like that was not really possible. I couldn't just jump right back in the same way I did the first go round.
Sure.
And I started to question, just like, what am I doing? Why am I doing it? How many people can I serve? What's the capacity? All those kind of existential questions of like, who am I really?
And where did you seek counsel? for some of those musings at that time? Like once you started to feel those questions coming, where did you go to?
I have been a student of personal growth and development for 20 years. So definitely reading tons of books, that whole time. And Tony Robbins events, I found Tony Robbins stuff and I'm like, okay, well, I'm a big fan of him. Let's check out what some of these events have to offer. So I did some Unleash the Power Within events and followed his classic marketing funnel straight in. And we became like platinum partners, and we were going to like 6 events a year, and which was, you could go up to 12 events a year. So anyway, it was that was a big shifting point. He has an event called Date with Destiny every December. It's actually going on right now. And we did it, I think, in 2021 for the first time. And it just kind of blew open a lot of this for me. Like, okay, I'm not alone in asking these questions. I'm not alone in feeling a little bit burnt out and lost, right? It made me feel like there was a better way. There was a better way to do it all.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And so born of this journey is Journey Back to Joy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So at what point do you decide to start another company?
Yeah.
You sucker.
So yeah, sounds like the worst thing to do, but I did decide, okay, well, so there was this aha moment when, during Date with Destiny in 21, where he has you try to embody like your feminine and the masculine, and try to understand, we all have feminine and masculine energies within us, and realizing that I was totally stuck in my masculine energy, which, kept me in my head, kept me stressed out, kept me from like really enjoying the flow of what was possible. Yeah. And so I made a commitment to embody to learn what my feminine energy felt like and looked like, and embody it more often. And had I known what that really was going to take from me, looking back, it's like, wow, that was really one heck of a journey to do that. But I shifted gears.
Why was it so intense?
Well, why was it so intense? Just, I think what I realized is, I'm a product of my raising in the 90s and, 80s, 90s, early 2000s, right? Of productivity, of doing what you're supposed to do, of not expressing your feelings that much, just kind of get in line where you're supposed to be. And while that's fine and does create a very productive human, it didn't necessarily create a very fulfilled human in my case. Mm-hmm. And so it's been a journey of unpacking that, and but not necessarily like I had to go down every bit of my past at all. In fact, I don't review the story. It's more of an energetic shift, right? Like, oh, well, I made this story. I made it up. I made it my truth. And I can actually let that go and sunset it. So it's been just like a series of sunsetting limiting beliefs, I would say. Mm-hmm. I used to say, or I still say this, but I felt like I had everything neatly bundled up into little tied up bows, right? Where it was like, okay, I've got the career with its bow on it. I've got the husband and the house and the kids. Everything was neatly tidied with bows. And I just started pulling those bows, just unraveling them and letting the wind blow those ribbons around and see what happens.
Yeah, it's interesting because I do feel like in real estate, there is a bit of chaos to the business. Mm-hmm. And pulling the bows also could create chaos, but except it doesn't, right? It just being more in the flow with yourself, being more in the flow with your feminine energy. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. For you, brought peace, not chaos, yeah?
For sure. To say, okay, I'm allowed, right? Allowed. This sense of worthiness, mm-hmm. I'm allowed to blow around in the wind a little bit, right?
Because you were so buttoned up, so analytical. Sort of the bows are tied tight. They were tied tight.
They were tied tightly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Tight bows.
Yes.
And so you loosened the bows a little.
Yeah. And in some areas, just pulled them all together.
Yeah.
So
what did that look like? Give me an example.
Yeah. So I sunset my involvement directly with clients, where I am not currently serving a client base that is to help buy and sell real estate right now.
Was that a burnout of the transaction? Was that not a true love of the art of the deal? Or was that just sunsetting a relationship that wasn't actually that healthy for you?
It was an unhealthy relationship. So it's more like I didn't have appropriate boundaries in my real estate career. I was working, 24/7. I was always available. And while that really does make a great realtor, and your clients love that, it didn't make a great mom. It didn't make a great wife. Yep. It didn't make a great me. So I had to, I think that there's definitely a possibility where you wouldn't have to do that, right? You could reestablish boundaries. And
is that a solvable riddle?
I think so. I said, for me, I need a clean break here for a little while. And like I said, I'm still licensed, so I may come back around to that at some point. But right now,
just not this season of life.
Not this season of life. No, the journey back to joy was about, embodying authenticity, creating boundaries around who I am, what I do, why I do it, getting just more understanding of self. And again, I'm allowed to take that time I'm permitted, giving myself permission.
Yes.
And realizing that when you give yourself permission to be who you are, you really give other people permission to be who they are in a weird, you know what I mean?
Sure.
It just, people look at you and say, oh, how are you doing that? What are you doing? Why are you doing it that way? I don't know, because I want to.
Yeah, well, and you also set yourself up in an abundant place to do that.
Yes, with all the real estate investing and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, having had a good 10-year run, you pocketed some money, you set yourself up nicely. That place of abundance gave you the space.
Plus, my husband runs a very lucrative company as well.
Yeah, so. Is he wound up tight? Are his bows tied tight?
His bows are looser than mine. He has more grace for himself. A little bit,
sure,
I would say. But no, he's pretty. He has pretty high standards for himself, for his company, where he's going. Yeah.
Well, that would be hard. You can't. It's not that you can't. It can be done, but it's hard to have two of those in the same house.
Right. To just throw caution to the wind entirely. There may come a day when it looks even more free flowing. I'm not sure. But right now, he's providing that space for me. Yeah.
What does Journey Back to Joy do then?
So Journey Back to Joy it's like coaching for women realtors, for women in general. So far, I've been serving women. I'm really excited because I'm going to be embarking on serving women realtors again. But
you can feel their pain, right?
Right. Well, and they say you can best serve who you just were.
Sure.
Right. So I remember very recently what it was like to feel kind of overrun by what you're requiring of yourself, or what you think other people are requiring of you, but it's really you. So kind of coming back to serve them, right? Like in a sense of they're pouring out and who's pouring into them, sort of thing. But Journey Back to Joy, I started it just about a year ago, and I host calls on Zoom every week, just bringing people on an integrative journey, essentially, of what is the higher wisdom that we know, what is the deeper truth, and how are we integrating that into our daily lives.
How's it different than like either business coaching or therapy?
Well, I'm definitely not a licensed therapist, so it's not therapy. And it's not that different from business coaching. We don't really set like goals in the sense of all this written plan, and it's not about it's not really about the business. It's about, who are you? Are you the version of yourself that you want to be? Do you love yourself as much, are you really loving yourself? And what does that look like for you? Are you, happy, right? The journey back to joy again being, the big recognition was joy is just as important as money. Joy is just as important, if not more important, right, than all the obligations that we have in this life. So really kind of putting that at the forefront of, again, you matter, your worthiness, you're worthy of joy. So really embodying that is what we're doing. So it's not really business coaching, but what I have found is that when we embody our authenticity, we become worthy of what we want and the joy that we want in our lives. That impacts our every area of our life in a positive way.
That's right. Why do you think women still sort of feel obligated to drive like men?
That's a good question. It could just about make me cry because it's so deep. It's so deeply ingrained in us to produce, to show up, to try to prove that we're worth something. And we're worth something by just being, here, and by we get kind of ingrained in embodying the masculine energies of kind of linear progression of creation and doing and growing to the top of our industry or whatever it is. And while all of that is wonderful, and I am totally amazed by every woman I have met, especially in the real estate industry, and what they juggle, what they accomplish, all of these things, it's a sense of, just incredible ability. So it's almost this needing to prove to ourselves that we can be as powerful or as strong or whatever. But what I have really discovered is when we embody our feminine energies as well, right? That everybody has both. We need both. The accomplishment, all are beautiful. But allowing that feminine to blossom even more, it has been really fascinating because I have found the power in the feminine too. It's not just in the masculine.
What do you say to those who feel that the feminine has actually taken over society? That there is a sort of the attack on our sons, the attack on masculinity, that there is that men and boys have been demeaned in the last couple decades. And so how is it that you balance sort of both of those things where there is a movement that says, yes, females are sort of portraying this sort of masculine energy, except that masculinity is actually underfoot. And so there's a lot of people who will say, well, there's plenty of feminine around, much more feminine than one ever could have ever hoped, that there's plenty of feminine around. So it's kind of I'm turning the question around on you here, but there are people who feel like society has overrun with sort of female empowerment.
Yeah, I would agree. I would say kind of yes, and I think there are two sides. So you have the divine feminine and divine masculine, and you have the toxic feminine and the toxic masculine. I think what's under scrutiny is toxic masculinity, but who's attacking it is toxic femininity.
Yeah, that's right.
And so it's like, okay, these are kind of equal and opposite forces, and we're not using the divine of both of these is available. And the divine feminine, it holds space, is love, is light, is calm, is flow. It looks very different than the toxic feminine.
And then what's the divine masculine?
And the divine, and they call each other out, right? The divine masculine also holds space, but more of like it's the riverbank in which the river of the feminine may flow, right? It's the structure, it's the clarity, it's the drive, but again, not in a
Not a destructive
not
drive.
a destructive drive. And it's not some of this toxic masculinity that we've seen, right? And I think that we're really beginning to understand that the toxic masculine calls out the toxic feminine and vice versa, right? And so it's time to rise into both, and recognize that we are all both of these things. There is nothing we are not. So if we can,
it does seem to me though that this little quadrant you drew for me
yes,
is very clarifying. Actually,
oh, good,
it's helpful. It does seem to me that the toxic femininity is attacking both the toxic masculinity and the divine masculinity.
I could see that. Yes,
and maybe even the divine femininity.
Yes. Yes.
So I actually think one of the biggest destroyers right now is less the toxic masculinity and more this toxic femininity. I think women can be cruel.
Yes.
I think women can be ugly and hard on themselves and a lot of things. And it's funny when I triangulate that or put that into that quadrant, this feels very poisonous.
Yeah, totally. And kind of like what you're saying, where the toxic feminine is what is emasculating boys. Because boys have divine feminine divine masculine from the beginning.
Of course, right, yeah.
But that's kind of what you're talking about, trying to emasculate from the early onset and say, oh, you can't play wildly. You can't have these, all this energy. You can't lead others in this, school setting, whatever it may be, trying to control, right? Toxic femininity really tries to control the masculine because out of fear. It's out of fear. And fear is not really a healthy driver for any sort of direction we want to go as a society. But
what do you say to people who say happiness is a myth?
Happiness is a myth. Oh, I haven't heard that. I would say happiness is a decision. Right? It's not made by your circumstances. You decide, I am truly a grateful, heartfelt person here doing the best I can with what I have. Yeah. I can tell you that was my mantra that got me through loads of years in real estate. Yeah. I am doing the best I can with what I have. and just deciding every day, sometimes every few moments, I'm going to be happy regardless of my circumstances. I think, it's similar. I think it's slightly different than joy. I think joy comes, just beams out, but, we all have our definitions. I think happiness is more of a mental choice.
A decision. My mama used to always say, my mom used to say, I never called her mama. It kind of came out that way. I don't know, maybe it was being around a Texan or something. My mom used to say, happiness is an inside job.
Yeah.
And it is the same thing as happiness is a decision. It is an inside job.
Yes, agreed.
So
wise mom.
Coming through this change for you was probably very transformational.
Yes.
And transformation's a big word. I actually just got done listening to Brene Brown. She just wrote a new book called Strong Ground. And she talks about transformation in the first couple chapters of this new book. And it's excellent content because I think there is this thing that happens. If you find yourself in transformation, you should read the book because
I will. Love her.
And I don't even mean you, the collective you, but the collective you.
Yes, everyone.
This transformation is such an interesting thing. So in this transformation, who are some of your mentors? Who are you following now? Who are you trying to become? Who's the person who sets the pinnacle or the example for you here?
I have, as I mentioned, Tony Robbins and his wife, Sage Robbins, have been very influential. Yeah. Sage Robbins is an incredibly loving being. She's a very good example of divine feminine. Dr. Sue Morter is another really fascinating woman who, having come from the medical side of things and then exploring the world of energy, she wrote a book called The Energy Codes. that's really good. And she's just coming out with a book called The Anatomy of Awakening, which I haven't, it's coming out this spring. So I'm very excited about her work. Those are some really good examples. I have been paying attention for years, Brene Brown. I haven't read her new book, but I have read, Atlas of the Heart, so good. And Daring Greatly are some of her works. There are several people online that I pay attention to. I'm blanking on some of their names right now, but just really people who are embodying authenticity, or seem to be. We'll put it that way, because maybe I don't know them personally, but who really come across authentic, and like contribution is probably one of their higher values, Yeah,
you enjoyed that, coaching others and guiding others, and pouring into others brings you great joy, fills your cup.
It really does. It really does.
Yeah, and not everybody's wired like that, but that's kind of the point, which is to figure out what does pour back into you, to figure out where you get those energies. I found an old book on the shelf that my dad had given me. I never opened it. And I started reading it 2 nights ago. And in this book, she talks about you can have it all, just not all at the same time.
I love that so very much. And in fact, that one of my mentors in real estate told me that exact thing.
Yeah.
You can have it all. It's just not all at the exact same time.
Yeah.
And I remember, I don't know, I was probably about 3 or 4 years into my real estate career. And the first year just owns you. Maybe the first 2 just completely own you.
Totally. Actually, the whole 22 years owns you.
Yeah. That too. But, kind of where I had year 3, I've survived. I'm committed. I'm going to make it in this industry. I've decided, right? And I get my first regular mentorship. And I said, I think I went to Thailand for 2 weeks, and I had to set up, so much infrastructure to be able to do that. And when I came back, I was like, it's really hard. Sometimes I just want to quit everything, go get a lot of tattoos, and be a yoga teacher all over the world.
You're much more of a creative than real estate called you into, right? Yeah.
Well, and he was like, well, maybe one could fund the other, right? Kind of reminding me, you can
still have to vocation, work, make money.
You have to actually make money. And, but it was a really good reminder too, you can have it all, just not all at the same time. And perhaps you set up an infrastructure of real estate that pays you and to travel the world and get tattoos or whatever.
And be a yoga instructor if that's what you'd like. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And so maybe what was a good piece of advice you were given into this next piece of your life, and what's maybe one piece of advice you'd pass along?
Yeah, so that one was huge. And, I do try to remind myself of that often, right? I can do it all. It just doesn't all have to be at the same time. Whenever I really do try to live by presence, so I can't remember if it was in a book or, so many different places that you've seen it. But really, living in the past creates anxiety, or I think it's living in the future creates anxiety. Living in the past creates, something else negative. And then if you're in the present moment, then you really can live into your joy, into who you are. So really trying very consciously to be present with what it is that I'm doing. I remember when I was working so much, I always felt guilty. I felt guilty for working. I felt guilty for being with my kids. I felt, and it was kind of like this guilt trap. And that's a pretty low place to live, really, when you consider that. So the antidote was presence. If I'm really completely present in whichever one I'm doing, wherever I find myself, then I'm free.
I had a mentor who worked at Quest, the big building in downtown Denver, before they were maybe AT&T. She's probably 10 years older than me. And she was a C-level employee there. Mm-hmm. She wrote a book called The Balance Myth. Mm. But she used to say, just be where you're at. So she'd say, if I was at a board meeting, I would just be present there. But if I was at home with my kids reading a poem, I would be there. And so in some ways that's lovely, right? Because if you can really capture presence, especially at the speed in which technology and society has us moving, I think that's easier said than done. But I do think it's a sweet place to be in. It's a good ambition is to just be present where you're at today. I will say in real estate, I feel that I've gotten pretty good at that, which is like if I carve out 2 hours to go to a listing appointment to sit at somebody's kitchen table, I don't answer my phone. I don't even look at it. You know, if somebody can't reach me right now, if they're a client and they need me urgently, if I've done the consultation properly with them, they understand that I didn't pick up the phone when I was with their 2 hours, and I'm not going to pick the phone up on your 2 hours.
Right.
And so in some ways, it's just being present where you're at. Where the trap is, the guilt trap, is that you'll overrun your own schedule and your children's schedule like crazy in the name of running a business. And so that's it's a sticky wicket for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And I remember deep in the busyness of running my real estate company that I made that recognition of exactly what you just described. And I started treating appointments with my husband or my kids like a listing appointment.
Yeah, like real appointments.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, wait, I'm in an appointment with my children. And that's what gave me, what my own permission to be as present as possible with them in those moments. And then I would say what the Journey Back to Joy is teaching me is to treat appointments with myself in the same way.
Yeah. And I think the bigger your kids get, the easier that becomes too, for sure.
You do get more of a sense of autonomy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Having littles does kind of sink you for a second there.
It's a big deal.
Yeah. Little people, little problems, big people, big problems.
Yeah.
So this is sweet. I love your new embodied self.
Thank you.
I think more of you is good for people like me. I just need you to rub off on me.
I'll be sure to do that.
Thank you. So what's next for you?
Yeah. So I kind of mentioned it before. I've been running this, Journey Back to Joy, and I go physically about once a month to an event, some sort of personal growth event, pretty much, and I integrate. I'm constantly integrating. So I share that with the people who participate in their Journey Back to Joy, and it's been such a gift because it's like being that part of the river or something, or it flows in and I pour out. Anyway, so what's next is creating a space for women in real estate. Just remembering what it was like just a couple years ago for myself and serving her. That's what I'm really excited about doing. So not just the full-on woo-woo types that I'm already serving, but kind of the being able to speak to the person who's curious and knows there's more to life and knows there's more to themselves and wants to talk about that. Yeah. So I'm excited about that. And I've been doing more events. Starting to get my speaker proposals together, starting to submit them. And my mentality around that, because it is terrifying, is, well, you're not going to get to buy a house if you don't submit the offer. So I remember back to my investment days and how
transfer of skills.
Yes, exactly. I'm like, I was spraying offers around to become a real estate investor, and now I'm going to spray, my speaking proposal around to become a speaker.
That's right.
Yeah.
If you build it, they will come.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming. Thank you for transferring your sweet energy onto us and bringing your calm into what can be a business of chaos. And so I think you're going to be very good. And I am in full support of your journey back to joy, and probably mine. So you'll have to, I need some coaching. And so anyway, Meredith Anderson, thank you for coming.
Thank you so much for having me, Amanda.